Wife for 9 years. 4 months ago, my wife of 9 years cheated on me with a woman. My initial reaction was lashing out. We have 3 kids together and I couldn't believe she would just throw away our relationship like that. I tried my hardest to get her back, but she wasn't having any of it, so I just gave up. I can't compete with the woman she cheated on me with, and it makes me feel pathetic. She was an artillery soldier for a while and is now a firefighter. My 10-year-old son has met her numerous times and really looks up her. She makes me feel like less of a man and I hate it. Yesterday my 2 younger children came home from visiting their mom, and instead of calling the woman by her name they called her mom. They have only known her for a short while and they already see her as their mother. I never wanted them to raise my kids, and I honestly don't agree with 2 women raising children, but there is nothing I can do about that. I am also still in love with my wife. I tried going on dates, but I can't find someone like my wife. She was perfect and no one can come close to her. I always find myself checking her Facebook page, scrolling through pictures of her and her new girlfriend with my kids. I feel as if this new woman has taken over their minds. They no longer eat meat or animal products because of her, and I asked them if they wanted to go to the zoo when the weather gets better. They told me that zoos were bad and they should go to a sanctuary. What the duck? My daughter is also getting a lot more active, which is great, but she says she wants to be a soldier, firefighter or police officer when she grows up. She is young and could easily change her mind, but no one wants to think about their daughter getting deployed. They also said that they wanted to spend next Christmas with their mom. I feel as if I am quickly losing my kids. If this is what it is like after 4 months, what will happen as time goes on? What would you do in my situation? My oldest son also said he wants to live with my ex, her and her girlfriend. I asked my 2 younger kids if that was what they wanted and they said yes. He also does everything with her and no longer spends time with me. In my kids' eyes, this woman is some cool ex-soldier. She took them to her firehouse and let them sit in the truck and all that. My son made a comment that really hurt me. He said that they feel like his true parents and their house is home. They also have 2 kids at their house and my son liked the big family vibe he gets when he's there. I invited my ex and her girlfriend for lunch so I can talk about our situation and how we are going to move forward. I plan on bringing some stuff that you guys mentioned so I can have a better idea on her relationship with my kids. Unfortunately, I can't go to court with this. A lot of stuff about my past could possibly get out and I could lose my job. There is no way my wife will turn down having the kids full-time without a fight. I am not forgiving them or even respecting them, but not talking has done us no good and it just leaves me confused and frustrated, so hopefully this lunch will clear things up. My ex actually seems more dominant in the relationship than she is. I also don't want to ring any lawyers into this situation. Making this a legal custody battle will be a waste of time and money on my side, and I can potentially lose my job. My wife knows things that nobody else knows, and those secrets can ruin me. The OW does have kids of her own, adopted, which plays a big role on why my kids like their house better. I unfortunately don't see any other way to get to the bottom of this without actually talking. The OW is very attractive, as is my ex, and that honestly makes me more pissed for some reason. Right now, my ex and her girlfriend get the kids most weekends, but oldest son says he wants to spend weekdays there as well so he can feel more like a proper family with them. He says he likes living with all his brothers and sisters, and living with me is nice, but it doesn't feel like a family. Not even when me and his mother were together. I think he views me as the problem. So, I just had that lunch with the both of them and I did get some insight on the other woman and her relationship with the kids. I asked them why they thought the kids wanted to live with them. They told me that they are more family-oriented. They go for family outings, movie nights, eating dinner at the table, etc. When I told them that I do this with the kids as well, they just shrugged and said it's probably because it's a bigger family with them. I directed a couple questions directly at the other woman, which annoyed my ex, to see where her head was at. I asked her why the kids called her Ma and why they were so willing to go vegan. I even hinted at her pushing the kids to do these things, which seemed to irritate her. She told me that the kids were curious about why they didn't eat at her house, so she answered them honestly, and they didn't want to hurt animals either. She also said that the kids asked my ex what to refer to her as, and she told them to refer to her as her name or mom if they wanted to. That's when the kids started calling her Ma. I finally brought up my oldest son and how I thought that she was sort of replacing me as a father to him. She told me she doesn't force my son to do anything, and if he naturally gravitates to her, she is not going to push him away. She also said she isn't trying to replace me as a father, but trying to be there for him as a second mother. To be honest, they were kind of pissing me off, so I told them I didn't think they were going to last, which made them angry. They told me they were in it for the long haul and I have to get used to them whether I like it or not. She thought that what she felt towards me was normal until she met the other woman and finally felt what it was like love someone. Did you know your wife was bisexual before you married her? I thought she was 100% straight. Did you catch the affair, or did your wife admit her relationship with the other woman? She admitted it. The other woman threatened to leave her if she didn't break it off with me. And why aren't your children living with their mother during the week? I honestly don't really know. Once she moved out, the kids just stayed with me. This has always been their home, and I guess she felt guilty. Her family knows. They are really supportive of her and whatnot, which is really annoying. They are happy she is being her true self and they are pretty much in love with the OW. My wife isn't the type of woman to bluff. If she says she is going to do something, she will do it. Especially when she has that "don't duck with me" look in her eyes. I work in security and my past can easily cost me my job. Our kids want to live with them and she says that she's going to make it happen no matter what. The courts won't care about her cheating because compared to my track record, that's nothing. My ex and the other woman don't care about whether I am financially stable or not. They make a lot of money on their own, a lot more than me. I don't think I have much of a chance anymore. My son is ready to leave. He is a bright boy and catching on the fact that he can leave and I can't do anything about it. I'm in the middle of texting my ex. I don't know how appropriate it is to post here, but it shows her point of view and not so likable personality. I know the kids want to live with you, but they need their father. This will only be temporary. They will change their minds eventually. X, they want to live with us, so they will. Simple as. Don't let your jealousy get in the way of your kids' happiness. You think I'm not going to fight for my kids? X, fight for them. I dare you to make this a custody battle. I ducking dare you. You can't threaten me. What happens if you get full custody after you open your mouth and I lose my job? Hey, X, I'll celebrate with champagne. What are you going to do? Love. So, you don't care about me providing to the kids. What about child support? X, sweetheart, you're a ducking security guard. I make 100 grand a year. I think I'll be fine. But thanks for worrying about me. I'm not worried about you. I'm worried about my kids. X, oh, their lives will be horrible in this expensive house full of kids and 2 wonderful parents. Your heart shall bleed for them. What do you even know about this woman? X, well, she's ducking hot for one. I mean, you already know that. She plays the guitar as well. Anything else you want to know? I'm serious. X, I trust her and I love her. She is no threat to the kids. She has 2 of her own, for duck's sake. So what? X, she went through an uphill battle to adopt them. She raised 2 beautiful kids to become amazing, well-mannered teenagers. She is not the devil woman you think she is. I was more in the wrong than she was. X, leave me alone. I'll contact when I want to ducking contact you. Another text from her. Don't get any smart ideas either. Not only will you lose your job, but you will go to behind bars. This isn't you having fun. OP, you committed a sin that will never be forgotten. 5 minutes later, your son cries to me about you not letting him leave. If he wanted to live with you, I wouldn't be putting up this fight, but my children come first. Don't text back. I know you guys told me not to text her, but I couldn't help it. The last line, "don't text back," made me want to text back. You think he won't ever learn about you threatening me? What will he think about mommy dearest when he knows what you're doing? X, oh God, OP, this is what he wants. He told me to do anything to let him live with me. Anything. I wouldn't go behind bars. X, I'll make sure you do. You're an evil little bee. X, you've always known that, OP. You got off on it. Now you're mad that you lost your trophy wife to a woman and there's nothing you can do about it. I don't know who is giving you the courage to challenge me, but they don't know what I know, so don't let your friends throw you into a hole you can't get out of. I'm picking my kids up tonight. I'll have them full time. You are still their father, but they will be living with me until they say otherwise. You see, OP, their perspective is actually important to me. I know I shouldn't text back, but she riles me up and she's also 100% right. I guess I just have to deal with it. I'm not going to gamble this. Comments. I feel that there are a few fundamental principles which seem to be escaping you. First, you are those children's father. No job, woman or bankroll is more important than that. Second, your wife seems to think that love is the byproduct of lies, deception, and betrayal. Third, how dependable a mother is a woman who leaves her kids, weekends only as per your post, splits a family apart and exposes her children to strangers from a supermarket. Fourth, money cannot buy true love nor happiness. Your WW has zero respect for you and seems to care for you even less. She does not see you as any kind of viable threat. She is controlling this situation completely. Until you are ready and willing to demonstratively prove to your WW that she severely underestimated you, then you will have to accept what she doles out, instead of your son arguing the viscosity of blood to water. Perhaps ask him if he knows the difference between homemaker and homewrecker. Perhaps they have not yet coached him on that subject. Good fortune to you. There is no question that your STBXW is the stronger of you two. Between her and Wonder Woman, they will grind you into little pieces. And enjoy every moment. Get legal help at SAP. Protect your legal rights and those of your children. OP responds, I think I'm going to let my kids go. I tried getting them out the house, but my oldest son put up a fight. He said, no dad, mom's picking us up. Then he told me he knew what I was doing. So, I just waited for my ex to come over and I was going to talk to her face to face. When I went to get the door, surprise, surprise. It was her new girlfriend. She came to the door while my ex sat in the car applying ducking makeup like she had no care in the world. I asked why she came to the door instead of my ex and she told me that my ex sent her. Like a dog. I never talked to this woman alone, so I asked her to come in. My ex had no interest in speaking to me, so I decided to talk to her lapdog instead. But she didn't come and she just told me that she didn't hate me and didn't even know I existed until halfway through the relationship. She just came to pick up the kids and move along. The kids ran downstairs jumping up in her arms, hugging her and kissing her. They never interact like that with me. I just let them go, and I don't think I'm going to fight this too much. If they want to live with her, then maybe I should let them. The number one person I have been thinking about in this situation is myself and not my kids. My ex has more money, they have more kids, two-parent household. My kids obviously love it there. It's not like I'll never see them again. They only live 15 minutes away. I think I had my moment of madness and it's fading away. I was fine beforehand and needed my time to freak out. At this moment, I don't think I need any professional help, nor do I think I'm deeply flawed and damaged. I'll try to keep open communication from now on. I feel as if I'm being selfish. What good is it for the kids to go back and forth from my place to their mom's? I want them to have a stable home, but at the same time, that's what I'm trying to take away from them. Although I hate my ex, I know that she is a good mom and her new girlfriend seems to have done a good job of raising her kids as well. I don't know, maybe I'm being dumb instead of selfless with my thinking. I mean, should I listen to my kids or are they just kids? Update, I'm actually feeling a lot better at the moment. I saw my kids today at their mom's house. She wasn't happy to see me there, but her new girlfriend invited me, and while my ex gave her the look and proceeded to stomp upstairs like a child. This was the first time I actually entered the house, and I spent some time talking to my kids and the OW's kids as well. My kids wanted to play laser tag and I was hesitant, but the OW said it was okay. It was weird that I almost had to ask permission to play with my kids, but it was their house. When the kids got settled, I talked to the OW, and if she didn't steal my wife, I would probably like her. I asked her about how the relationship started and whatnot. She told me that by the time she found out about me, she was too far in and couldn't just leave. Bull crap. My wife was in the living room during the whole conversation on her laptop, pretending not to listen. I think I'm going to take some time to myself while I try to figure crap out. My kids were devastated when I showed up in fear that I was taking them away. I don't know what the morally correct thing to do in this situation is. My kids have always preferred my wife. When she came home, it was like a celebration, but when I came home, nothing. We did play together and we did have some sort of relationship. My oldest son and I bonded over sports, but he is more interested in books and science, which was my wife's thing. My two younger ones were also somewhat close to me, but nothing compared to the relationship they had with their mom. My wife says they see me as a dictator, but I completely disagree. Her punishments are 10 times harsher than mine. Neither of us hit our kids. I may have screamed a bit more, but I didn't actually punish them as much. She always told me that I can also be a friend to them, but I didn't agree. I guess I should have listened to her. My wife and I have been talking about how to move forward with this divorce. She proposed joint custody while her home being the primary residence. We still need to talk through a few things, and she says she wants us to go see a family mediator. Update. So, my wife and I are pretty much officially getting divorced. I guess I thought that maybe she would change her mind, but that's not going to happen. We will have joint custody of the kids, but my ex will be their main residence. Which is fine. I would rather that I have the kids for the majority of the time, but I think this decision is best for the kids. I thought that I would feel better after we came to a decision, but the fact that it's really happening freaks me out, to be honest. I have to downgrade my house while they upgrade, and I still love my ex. In a way, they also want to take my kids on vacation out of the country next year. And I don't know how to respond to that. How do I deal with jealousy? My jealousy has gotten so bad I can't even look at them together. I stay in the car before I pick up my kids so I don't have to see them interact. My ex looks at her girlfriend in a way she has never looked at me before. Whenever my ex is angry, her girlfriend softens her, and it makes me feel weird. Like all those years were 100% false. Comments. Your feelings are valid. Your wife lied to you for a long time. She cheated on you and has broken up your family. But in time, those feelings will dissipate. She will just be your ex. Did she use you? Probably. She got kids from you though. Don't ever forget that. Focus on you. Focus on the kids and help them ease into their new life. I can tell you one thing. When your kids get older, they will fully understand what their mom did to you. They will know and understand. And no matter how great her girlfriend is, she will always be the other woman, and they will realize that as well. Your future is in your hands. Now get your D done and go find a real heterosexual woman that loves you and knows herself. Think about that for a while. First of all, you need to accept the fact that your marriage is over. The sooner the better, and start moving forward. So get busy. Work more, gym, new hobby, anything that will distract you from thinking of your ex and making you feel miserable. Just stop caring about them, the two lovebirds, not your kids, and start caring about yourself. Second, as far as I can tell from reading this thread, you are a bit of a hothead. No. Like screaming, yelling, which probably scared your kids. Change that. Change your attitude. Be calmer, calculated, cool. It's hard right now since not much time has passed, but do try. Thirdly, change your appearance. Try a new hair, new clothes, new shoes, new style. Since your old life is gone, meet the new one with some fashion. It helps you to feel better and people will definitely notice the difference. This one I know personally. Worked for me. How to deal with jealousy. Well, those new shoes and threads will definitely help you talk up girls. You don't necessarily need to sleep with them, you know. You can just talk. Make yourself realize that she isn't the only woman in the world. The less you care about her, the less jealous you'll be. Overall, in my opinion, everything that occurs in life, both good and bad, should be used to forge oneself, to better oneself. Use this painful experience to make a better person out of yourself. Learn from your mistakes and from others. Just don't sit around being sulky and miserable. If some forum members are indeed right about your ex and other woman brainwashing and bad-mouthing you to your kids, prove them wrong by showing the new better you. Story 2. I have been married for 5 years. A year and a half ago, I finally asked my husband to leave. I worked full-time as a teacher and my husband has never been able to keep a job. With our 2 children at daycare and school, he spent his days playing computer games, training and sleeping. Asking him to make the kids' lunches in the morning was a constant struggle as he was just too tired from staying up all night. Every time I asked him to do something around the house or get a job, I was told to stop being a nagging wife. Any attempt to work on our marriage was quickly rejected. He asked me to take the kids out of care and leave them at home because we were just not making ends meet. After 3 weeks and the kids staying at home day in and day out, just running around their dad while his eyes were glued to the computer screen, I had had enough and asked him to leave. Less than 2 weeks after he left, he became involved with another woman. I shall call her other woman. He refused to look after the kids when I worked because he had better things to do, like go on dates. He also said that he didn't love me anymore. I was stuck as finding care is very difficult in our area. I relied on family and friends to help until I finally found a career. One morning he came to my house when I had a few friends over and because one of them was male, he went on a rampage. Apparently, I was not allowed to have a man in my house. I needed to call the police when he sped off with my son in a rage and no car seat. Even after this I begged for him to return, for him to step up and help support his family and work on our marriage. Eventually he decided to come back to the family. I did my best to work on the marriage. It was difficult as I had other women calling me, emailing me, calling my husband and turning up angry on my doorstep, desperate to get him back. He said he wanted to move away to a bigger city to start a sports club and to start over. His dream. So after 3 months, I packed up my house, my kids and my fantastic job to move 12 hours drive away from my friends and family. After only 4 weeks, I found out that other woman was still calling him and after I told him that I must listen to all conversations, she got angry and emailed me everything. It turned out that my husband was seeing her the whole 4 months before the move. She backed this up by telling me to take a look at my wedding photos. There was one picture with comments from all our guests. The last gift from my belated father. In big black ink were the words, "Your marriage is a joke." She had vandalized our wedding photos. I found out that she too was planning on moving to the same location and was moving 10 minutes away. The plan being for him to make me think he was back, move the kids to the location he wanted me to go to and then leave to live with her. I was devastated. I had the police remove him that night because he refused to leave. He made me feel terrible for kicking him out with nowhere to go. Other women sent me nasty text messages telling me how much of a bad person I was kicking my own husband out when he had nowhere to go. I told her to buy him a plane ticket. Less than 2 weeks later, he arrived back on my doorstep, begging me to take him back. I did, but this didn't stop him from thinking about her. With his plans to create his own club falling through, he took up a security job on weekends, refusing to get a full-time job. Again, I had to take the kids out of care to make ends meet. He promised he wouldn't leave, making a promise to his daughter also. Once my nephew was born, I went back to my hometown for a few days. He dropped me off at the airport and promised he would do anything to keep the family together. Upon my return, things had changed. He was distant for the first week and spent many hours out of the house. He said he had realized that he was not needed at home because his son was getting bored with him during the day. He said that he had a chat with his mother and his mother told him he should follow his heart and leave. He said the least I could do was let him stay for 4 weeks to get enough money to leave. I accepted. That weekend, after my daughter had been admitted to hospital for asthma, he took my car to work one night and told me he was too tired to drive home and was going to stay at a workmate's house before his shift the next day. I was very concerned that I was left alone with no transport after my daughter had just been released from hospital. He didn't care. I had my suspicions, and after finding out the other woman's address, I drove to her apartment and found him there. Both of them were too coward to come out. I got my car keys and took my car home, packing his things up and once again being left with no care for my kids because I was told that the other woman, who has no children herself, would take care of them for me. I later found out that while I was away, our young daughter found her in our bed. 3 weeks later, he had rented an apartment with her. She constantly annoys me, telling me she was taking me to court to get full custody of the children. I was in a living nightmare. I kept my kids close and just told her to go ahead. I had had enough. Only a month later, my husband left her again, saying that she was too controlling. Funny that, considering I never complained about him training 4 or 5 nights a week because he enjoyed it. He came crawling back and organized counseling for both of us. He got a full-time job but soon quit because he didn't like it. He stays at home, watches TV, trains at his club that he earns a whole $100 a week at, and plays computer games. He has asked me to take the kids out of care, but I am too afraid to. I still clean, mostly make dinner, fold the washing, and even mow the yard after I work 10 hours a day. We have been to counseling a number of times and he seems actually committed. Problem is, I honestly don't think I could ever trust him or forgive him for what he has done. I don't want to close at all. I am sick of being broke. I have a great job, but it just isn't enough. I want to buy my own house one day, but it just won't be possible because he just does not want to work at all. I have even applied for a second job on the weekends to support us. He will just let me do it, with no concern, because his club is growing with now 12 members and this is all he wants to do. When I explain that it is just not paying the bills, he gets defensive and says that it's not fair that I got my degree and am happy and should be his turn. Telling him that he should have done it before we decided to have kids, like I did, just does not make sense to him, and he just tells me that I should be more supportive. I want to leave him, but I am worried for my kids. I never wanted a broken family, but he is not the role model I want for my children. Also, he has no money at all and nowhere to go. I feel stuck, unhappy, and miserable. Gosh, I know there is going to be a lot of wake-up woman comments on here, but I think that is just exactly what I need to hear. I know I deserve better. I work hard. I take the best care of my children, and I have worked very hard to get where I am career-wise. I have so much to give, but my husband has not told me he loves me in years, claiming that he just needs to connect with me again. So where do I go from here? He just really has a way of making me feel like it is all my fault for his affair, that if I would have been more supportive or less nagging, etc., it would not happen. Not sure how much more supportive I can be, letting him stay home and go out 4 or 5 times a night for support when we have 2 kids under 6. I'm starting to feel like this is normal behavior. I worry so much about the kids coping with a divorce. This is my number one issue. It's not the life I envisioned for myself. Will they be okay? How do I kick him out when he has nowhere to go? I am super emotional too and will pretty much cry all the time, even when I am happy, so this will be hard for me. You certainly should be commended on your efforts to work things out though. Despite some of the negative impacts now, I guess there are good and bad outcomes for both decisions. I am kind of at the stage where I know I have tried my absolute best and it didn't help. I need to move on, but I know he will go on about how he will try and how we are meant to be together and how I am just not trying hard enough, etc., etc. He always finds a way to make me feel guilty for just wanting to be happy. Seriously, why is life so hard, right? He first got angry and told me I was a coward for asking him to leave because I know he has no one and nowhere to go. He told me he really wants to work on the marriage. We have been to marriage counseling, but of course I have paid for it, but follows this up with, I have no car, no friends, etc. I know he is just using me. He has been trying to get close to me now, trying to talk, trying to hug me, etc., but honestly, I just don't want any of it. Can anyone help me with this? It is so hard to implement for me because I have always been the breadwinner, looked after the kids, finances, and housework. I also am the only one who works, and with my kids going to daycare, he really does nothing during the day except train and play computer games. He called me 9 times while at work this morning to sort something out for him. Every day he calls me at work when he needs something that he can easily do himself. He cracked at me for not answering. Yes, in the past he has put holes in the walls because he doesn't get his own way. Of course, he blames me. The other day when I told him he had to find a job because I was sick of being lazy, he drove the car with my 2 kids in it like crazy. Then he started hitting the steering wheel and eventually yelled at me to get out. I tried to get my kids out, but he drove off. He called me a dirty X, twisted X, and even an X in front of my kids. I have had the police remove him twice. I have been to 2 different agencies and they just don't want to help me. I even filled out the forms and took them straight to the courts. I took the photos of him losing his block with my 2-year-old son when I was at work. The lady who was supposed to help me said it was not worth it because of the process I had to go through and that the courts would probably still allow my husband to have the kids at least every second weekend. This really scares me as I won't be there to protect them. Now, the kids are in care while I am at school and I can make sure I am at home when he is. I also had the police at my house and showed them pictures of where he had put holes in the walls and they were just disinterested. The house is in my name only. I made sure of this when he cheated the first time. I really don't want to leave and have nowhere to go as I stupidly moved 12 hours drive from my family so he could be happy and start a new job that he never did anyway. I am just stuck. So I am trying to be nice and ask him to leave. It doesn't solve the problem that the kids will get to see him when I won't be around to protect them. I am going to move on. I just can't deal with this anymore. He is a bad role model for our children. He had a really bad upbringing himself, and I guess I have really taken that into consideration. However, I didn't have a great one either, and I made a choice to turn my life around. He could too. My niece from my hometown and who is not much younger than me moved in yesterday after leaving a man who has done something similar. I am a teacher and can always get my old job back, but am currently working for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Japan, and as this is a fantastic career stepping stone for me, I don't want to move home. I just have to figure out how to get him out of my house now. He now knows I do not want this relationship anymore and that I will no longer pay for anything. I have even changed my internet password, although he just thinks I am hopeless and stuffed it up by changing the PowerPoint when I rearranged the lounge. But it's a start. An update. He has done nothing but stay in his room all day. He set up his game and just lays there playing. He has not looked after children at all the past 2 days and done nothing as usual. I just want to ask him to leave. This house is in my name and my name only. I did this because I needed the security. I just want to know if I should just ask him to leave immediately. I have told him he has time to find a place and get a job, but I just can't handle this anymore. I really don't need to practice being single. I have kept my kids in daycare and after school care as he left with the other woman twice, leaving me to find emergency care for them so I could work. He refused to take care of them while I worked even though he didn't have a job. I also do the grocery shopping on the weekends as he can't do it by himself during the week. I will hope that he just leaves the house without doing all that to him. As we speak, he is packing all his things. I am certain the person who picks him up with be the other woman. I understand your concern about crying wolf, but in my case, I honestly think I have enough evidence to suggest that he needs to stay away. I have even recorded his actions towards the kids in the last few days, and they haven't been good. He does, however, have a fantastic way of making me feel like the abusive one by asking him to find work or help with the kids or clean the house. He calls this emotional abuse because I won't support him. This really used to make me feel terrible. I just have to stay strong and go through with this. I love him, I do, but he is not a good role model, my kids, and honestly has never been. He won't work and carries on every time something is not done his way. The house is always an anxious one because his tone is always threatening. I can now see this coming out in my son. It frightens me. We can all be happy, laughing and having a great time, but he will come home and in 2 seconds we will all be in tears. Mai has written things in her diary at school that really concern me. I never thought I would ever end up divorced and always wanted the perfect family. It hurts so bad. Final update. I took everyone's advice and asked my cheating husband to leave. There was no fight. He asked to stay, but I said no. He packed his things and left. It's been a week and things were going fine. I let him see the kids as much as he wanted to. He seems to be a better father when they are not annoying him every second. I just gave him one condition, that if he was still seeing the other woman, don't have any contact with my kids. Well, he took out son for the day, and when he dropped him home, I realized he had no car. He was starting to walk around the corner. I jumped in my car and followed him, and there he was driving the car. I called him and told him never to come to my home again. He went on a rant to say that he was just borrowing her car to see the kids, that nothing was going on between them, etc. So he leaves the OW to go back to his wife, cut all contact with her apparently, and now she just decided to lend him her car for a few days a week after I asked him to leave. Yup, while I was at work supporting him, he was still cheating on me for sure. My comment: I think OP never took enough time to accept this reality that was handed to him, and the fact his wife had more control because she knew she can always find another person compared to him. That's why he needed a hard 180. Second, OP sounded weak, but she actually took control of her own situation. What do you guys think? Comment down below your thoughts, and I will see you soon after a short nap.